I was saying that since as Frostpunk can support multiple cities in a one region, why
They would
not?
have to load it up every time. Like, if you like, do you wish to switch to this city? Then press yes. You load up that city. That's the only way it's gonna work and be kosher.
You think that would affect gameplay in any way?
Slightly, make it easier for resource trading. Like, say this area has few steam cores and this one has many. Trade the resources between. Kind of like almost Anoid 2070 scenario.
That,
Like you start out with one city with a single generator, right? Or once you have your city built up, you basically build another one somewhere and you start over from there, like a big web, like 4 or 5 cities max.
oh,
I could see that happening, but each time you switch a city, you have to load up that city.
but I don't think it would that be a problem for players?
Well, when you have a very big city and you switch into another city, I don't think it will be a problem. It's just like it's kind of difficult to run multiple cities, especially when the time is moving in one city and you have a problem like in multiple cities. So it's like slowly building the whole thing and maintaining the whole thing.
But I'm thinking that that could be more of like a challenge to somebody who is in terms of like,
True.
yeah, I'm saying like if you are somebody who is a multitasker or somebody that's interested in like project management type of things, this would be perfect because maybe they could use the same thing that they use in I don't remember what it's called, where they allow the notifications come up, and when the notifications come up, time slows down a bit. You know what I'm talking about? When a particular
Yeah,
event.
but like here's the thing. Once you get the generator running, the new generator running, you're gonna have to work on that new generator area.
Maybe the requirement for, well, thinking about it, the requirement for another city would be that your main city would have to be completely survivable of anything. So the main city has to be well stocked, well supplied, well developed. And then after that,
Yeah, but here's the thing. Environmental factors like like double generator production could be a serious problem.
explain what do you mean by that?
Like like say one city has is like set like that a clogged generator and
Yeah.
it makes you like double your requirements for
Mm-hmm.
coal. That could be a serious problem.
Yeah, but remember when I said like a well-developed city, so I tested Frostpunk 2 months ago, where I built the
I've been playing it about a week or two ago.
yeah.
I was just playing it for fun. I've been playing a couple cities off and on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it seems fun. Oh, by the way, did you know in the Craig, you can get way more Steam cores than you should?
Whoa, 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 whoa! Are you serious? You can?
You can, but it's like in serene mode.
So basically, the economy is turned all the way up to easy in the Serenity mode, and okay
Look,
then.
the economy was on easy, medium for like hope and stuff, and hard for people's needs. That's how I usually go.
Oh, I see what you're saying. All right, but then that's interesting. That means I'm gonna have to take some time and actually test that mode out. But here's something.
Yeah, but
Here's something.
Craig is like after a certain point, it gets really unstable because of all the like extra like machines you have around. So yeah, it can get a bit nuts.
Oh yeah, as you said, the game is not really meant to handle a population over a certain amount
Yeah,
in one particular
800.
city.
After that, it goes completely batshit crazy.
Understandable. But check this.
But
So
overall,
go on.
all basically, like, we'll just have to wait and see. They're working on the family of Morai or something like that.
They have a secret project they're working on as well that they don't want to talk about.
Ah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be something like a first person shooter or something like that. And it's exclusively for
Oh.
consoles. So they're developing that. But going back to,
Interesting.
I know, right? And at the investor
Yeah.
conference, they spoke about how Frostpunk made them a couple $1 million. It was doing extremely well, and they were speaking about the fact that it did well in the Americas and in the East and in Europe. And they also made mention to the fact that
Yeah, it's a very unique concept, Frostpunk. Like, have you ever had a city builder where you have to fight against the cold or in a frozen environment, really?
there was one. It was something like
No.
not like Frostpunk, not in the sense of like it was a game that was very close to surviving Mars, but you could go on multiple.
Surviving Mars was like, once you get the facilities easily set up, it's easily survivable.
All right.
Remember, like if you looked at my Steam account, you can see that I've gotten a lot of the achievements for surviving Mars. I play that game through with that.
You're breaking up a little bit. You there?
What?
Yeah, the connection was getting a little bit
Do you
low.
hear something like vroom, vroom, vroom?
In a way, like you were breaking up. Give me a second. Let me call you back.
No. It's probably this.
You fixed it?
Yeah, it's just the air conditioner unit. It can make things a little
Difficult.
yeah.
All right, you're back up now.
Yeah, within my air conditioner unit.
Okay.
It's
So,
just getting a little hot in here.
oh, I understand. I know it's extremely hot right now.
Yeah.
So you
Let's
raised.
just say Alberta. What?
You raised a very important point a while ago because I was thinking from last week to this week. You're hearing me clearly, right?
Yep.
From last week to this week, I've been unable to actually get to day 290, even though I've done it twice or at least 3 times already. The longest I've ever played Frostpunk was 296 days. And recently, I've realized that Frostpunk is not like any regular city builder. You have to have a certain level of skill to actually survive the Frostland. I mean, even if you are the go on.
I'm reasonably good at it. It's just I'm terrible at certain aspects of it.
Cause it keeps changing every single time you play. There is a if you hit the rock at the wrong angle, everything fails. Even if you have as much coal as you need, if you don't have food, they're dead. If it gets too cold, they're dead. If you don't have the what do you call it? Disabled whatever they call it, mechanism that allows people to get
You
I don't
need
remember.
a certain finesse in order to win.
Yes, that's basically it. And I'm thinking there's no other city builder game that has those mechanics built into it. Even
Well, like there are certain games, but nowhere near as
nowhere, there's no game that can actually come close to Frostpunk. Well, City Skylines, not
Well, that's
no. Surviving Mars, I should say, is
no.
pretty close.
Like what is it? Banished and what was the other one? What is it?
No,
Space Base. Uh, are close, but they're nowhere near as complicated
no,
as Frostpunk is.
because
Well, it's like it in a way they are similar, but not the exact.
nah, they're different. Very different.
Like the difficulty doesn't really change in any of them.
No, it doesn't.
Like, ooh, what's this? Okay.
You all right, bro?
Oh, nothing. I just saw something up in the news. Um, library. So you were saying?
Go on, I'm listening to you.
Okay.
Yeah, what I was saying is that Frostpunk somehow has managed to achieve the impossible of creating a city survival game that allows you to tell your own story, and at the same time, it pushes you to make decisions as a leader of a city. You still there, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that Winterhome is the only city that was not built in a crater?
Winterhole?
Hmm?
Interesting.
Yeah, and the reason for that, it was the first, one of the very first outposts within the Frostland. So I did some additional research, bro, and I found out that anything that is built outside of a crater does not survive long unless it was constructed before the deep freeze. So anything that was constructed within the Frostland after the deep freeze does not survive because you cannot build on the surface. You can only build in a ditch or a lower area. So the heat that rises from within the crater acts as a shielding for the city, which is kind of interesting. And I also found out once the generator goes dead, everything inside the crater eventually gets covered up by snow. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm now thinking there could be one city in a particular region that's surrounded by 100 other cities that are covered in or covered up by snow. And then the glaciers move. So when the glaciers move, they move the soil that covers up everything. And eventually there is no city to be found. Even if you decided to excavate it, you wouldn't find the city because the ice has already moved it towards the sea.
Pretty much. But yeah, so pretty much it's kind of interesting.
Uh, and then the other thing that I'm also looking at is the fact that the developers are kind of saying the same thing that I was saying in terms of what caused the deep freeze, the downward movement of the trade winds, volcanic activity, nature failing, and global warming.
Mm, at that period of time, global warming wasn't really a thing. It was sort of like it's a possibility, but not a reality.
Remember, you're forgetting one thing. Did they have radio towers back in that time? No, they didn't.
They did.
No,
No,
they
they
didn't.
didn't actually.
No,
Wait,
they didn't. I checked it. They didn't. They never had radio
but
towers.
if I recall correctly, there was a theory that the steam cores may have, due to a very specific type of chemical, might have caused the global deep freeze.
Well, I did some research on it, and I did some research into how in combustion engines worked, and I found out the only facility within the city that actually releases carbon dioxide, or the only facilities, are the coal thumpers and the steel works. Incredible, right? Those are the
And
two.
the generators.
No, the generator doesn't release carbon dioxide. It releases steam. The carbon dioxide gets pumped somewhere
What about
else.
the smoke from the generator? What about all that smoke from the generator?
It's not smoke, it's steam. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
It's black.
No, it's not. It's not black. It's gray, almost like steam. It's gray because it is
Steam,
steam.
it's more clear.
It's more clear, but
Ugh.
because of the weather, how cold it is, you can see it. So it's steam. And as I said, the steelworks and the coal mines and the coal thumpers are the only ones that release carbon dioxide.
Mhm.
So I also looked into it and I realized that because they built the steam cores, they were able to advance their technology so far that they've reached the 19th century a little bit early. That's the only way they could have radio towers. And I found probably about 20 of them surrounding cities. So they must have been communicating with radio towers. So I'm in section B and I'm talking to a guy in section C and I'm communicating over the radio. Because I'm sure that when you played the refugees, there was a radio tower.
Understood.
So going back at it, I'm saying that the steam cores caused the global warming effect to take place because they were manufacturing so many things using steam cores.
Yeah, that could be, but the amount of what they'd have to do and the amount of damage they would have to do is nothing short of shocking.
Yeah, but remember that it's a combination of events.
Yeah.
So they might not have been able to do as much.
Like to cool the planet, like if the equator still froze, did the equator freeze over?
No, the equator didn't freeze over. It was just the other areas up north and south that froze. The equator is probably still it's perfectly fine. It might be
Probably. It's like probably British
yeah,
temperatures, but
right, but it's not frozen like solid frozen. It's probably a bit chilly, like probably -10 degrees or -9, something around
no,
that.
I think it would be more on the positive. Sorry, that's the biggest point where it gets the most sun.
Yeah, you're probably right. So like, let's say
Like
10
probably
degrees.
the like there's the equator line, and there's two parts of the equator, the upper and the lower.
Yeah,
I would think like those would be much cooler, but they would be like maybe a negative every now and then, but
mostly
like
positive.
like mostly positive towards the equator, but away from the equator is probably going to be more negative.
More negative. And so that's why I was saying that because of that, marine life still exists, and there were people.
Yes, actually, marine life would exist regardless.
Hmm.
Underneath the water, ice, there's water there still.
And the
Like it would take thousands of years to freeze the ocean,
uh not to
so
not
not likely gonna happen.
not to mention the fact that there are a lot of underwater volcanoes. Huh. So I'm thinking that
That matters, but it only matters in certain regards. But there is plenty of There's more underwater volcanoes than there is land volcanoes.
right. So I'm thinking it like this. Even though the global warming effect might be something that is probably a drop in the bucket, as scientists have
Yeah, but it's
said,
not likely.
I'm
It's
not
honestly
saying
not likely.
I'm not saying it's the root
Likely so.
cause, but I'm saying that just one change in the degree of the temperature of the earth can cause numerous events that would lead to
Changes.
right changes that could.
We're talking like 10 to 50 to 60 degrees various shifts. There's has to be something pretty nasty. Nasty. If it was like a massive volcanoes erupting, it would only last a couple years.
Yeah, and I'm
Like we're arguing over semantics here. What might have happened?
yeah,
It could have been global warming. It could have been a volcanoes, and all of it working together fucked the planet over. But
yeah, all of them work to fuck the planet over. That's basically what happened. Because
pretty much it's ridiculous. Honestly, like we won't find an answer. We
I
have to wait with the lore to find out an answer.
we
It's just
they actually gave us the answer from the very beginning, from the very first act of the game. They told us that nature failed, and they also told us that there was a massive buildup of technology. Because you could see the fact that that land dreadnought is almost about the size of like a city block. So if they're that huge, they would have required a lot of fossil fuels to create it. Then the thing with
yeah,
the thing with the
but they
vol
use coal.
yeah, they use coal, so that's releasing a lot of carbon dioxide. And then
We
you
could burn every pound of coal today, right? And I don't think would be remotely there to like free making the planet freeze itself over.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't actually cause the planet to freeze. It would do the opposite thing. It would heat the planet up because the sun's rays would come in, but they wouldn't be able to leave. So what really happened is that the volcanoes erupted, and the eruption.
Covering the planet, but it
Yeah,
wouldn't last
no,
forever.
the point
Maybe
wasn't
a
to.
year, two
Yeah.
at most.
Ah, there we
But
go. We were getting closer. So what I'm saying is it didn't last for an entire year because it didn't need to. It just needed to last for a long enough time for the trade winds to feel the effects of it and carry the cold air from the atmosphere down further on into the biosphere where people actually live and mess up the ecosystem there. So once nature is no longer able to capture a certain amount of the elements that are produced, it drastically changes how weather patterns act. So if there are no trees, or if let's say there are not enough animals, everything, the entire ecosystem can change. And because of
yes,
the
but here's the
freezing
thing:
temperature, yeah,
the
so
plants, if all plants froze on the planet, there would be an increase in carbon dioxide, and the planet would eventually heat up. And it's an equilibrium thing.
yeah,
So,
but I'm
yeah, the way like eventually the planet will reset itself.
there we go. However, at this point in time, the deep freeze has somehow managed to be a mainstay. So whatever it is that happened, it somehow.
Yeah, that's the point. Like logically speaking, there is no way for a deep free like this to happen
Wait,
without.
there's something else that
But
we didn't talk about. But go on. I'll tell you after.
okay, just tell me right now, please.
All right. So, further research and looking at the lore and talking to other people on the Discord, the other element that really cemented the deep freeze as a mainstay is one of the most common events that happens between the months of, I think, November and October and September, hurricanes. So when the deep freeze occurred, it came with something else that was unexpected, a ice hurricane. This is something that is almost sci-fi, but it's possible. It's an ice storm with an eye that sweeps over the frostland going from north to south or north north, and whatever is in its path gets frozen solid. So every couple of months, this ice storm travels the globe and freezes everything over. So it's like almost the dust storms on Mars. You know, like
Gotcha.
when you're playing Surviving Mars, every time that storm comes around, it deposits a certain amount of dirt and dust onto your equipment, and eventually that builds up and covers it. So what this storm does is it removes snow and other materials, carries it to an area, dumps it, and then it moves on. And it's like a cycle.
Understood.
That's what
Uh,
Nansen was trying to figure out. However, he got caught in the storm and died. But his notes
oh yeah,
told
I
right,
forgot.
his notes told us that the storm doesn't last forever. The freeze eventually lets up. And what New London experienced was the full force of, let's say, call it within our time, a category 5 deep freeze hurricane. That's why it lasted so long. Because if you check the lore of the endless, storms last approximately 3 to 4 days max. But the one in the New London scenario lasted for approximately 7 days. And the temperature
Mhm.
fell to minus 110 or 20. I don't remember if that was the actual or 70. I'm not sure which one. But when that happened, everything that was outside froze. And I think it was this freakish weather that killed a lot of the people that were working in the Frostland. So that's why you will find all of these mines, these excavations, these crawlers, because of this freakish weather that maintains the Arctic conditions around majority of the planet. And they just appear and then they disappear. So you'll be there today and the weather is calm and a comfortable minus 30, then tomorrow it's minus 40, then the next day it's minus 50, and then the day after that it's minus 100. And the winds are
Oh
blowing
yeah, I
at
know.
hurricane speeds. So that plus the downward movement of the trade winds, the volcanoes, the failing of nature, and global warming created a nice enough blanket to adjust the Earth's temperature just to the right degree to create a new ice age that could be maintained by hurricane conditions. And that's it.
Hmm. I can see that.
That's
Well, anyway, I have to get going. I have to get ready for an appointment.
all right,
So
bro. Let's do
it was a
this again some
pleasure
other time.
talking to you. Bye.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye.
Ah, that was a good conversation. I should have more of these. Well, let's see what else I can bring up. I'll be right back.